I'll do a countdown and then we'll just 10, 9. I wasn't going to go from 10.
T-minus.
Go from like 3. Okay? 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Jim and James podcast. I think that's what we're calling it.
What are we calling that?
We're trying to lose the morning because actually, is it morning?
It's still morning.
It's 10 past 12 in the afternoon. So
oh, here we go.
you just never know when and where we're doing these. Okay, so
Super excited, man, to have a great guy.
In suspense. Let's talk about
The man, the myth, the legend.
the
Mr.
man, the myth, the legend.
Sean Liang, right?
Who is this guy?
I don't know, but you seem to have a lot of similarities and parallels with this guy.
Right?
Yes,
Mr. Sean.
I do.
This guy. I'm
What?
saying Sean has a lot of similarities with this guy named Sean
Okay,
Liang.
all right.
I've heard of him. I don't know.
For those of you on Spotify,
Yeah.
It's
you
nice
know
to
that's not what you think it is.
walk into the screen instead of sitting behind it today. So,
Yeah.
Right. When I met you, we decided we were going to work together and doing some behind the scenes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked you up and I was like, wow, you do some fun stuff. You do some interesting, you have some cool projects out there, which we'll have you do the editing on this so you can insert whatever
There you go.
want.
I'll put in my own little thing.
So for those of you who might be interested, the recent episodes that we've had, some of the editing has been done by Sean, where you see video clips and you see inserts and stuff like that. So
Yeah. He's the man. He
responsible
wears
for
different
that.
hats. I mean, the guy, is there anything you don't do?
Well, there's a lot of things I don't do. The gym is number one.
well, we're all in that club.
What? Oh, gym? Yeah, you shouldn't do gym.
I'm Jim.
Yeah,
Oh,
gym.
no.
Yeah.
I won't do gym or the gym.
Okay, so both
Yeah, well,
gyms are safe.
yeah.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
good. We're good.
I'm not going. I haven't. I got a membership.
Yeah.
I'm like the typical best customer for them.
Yeah.
I've gone like maybe 3 times in the year.
Yeah.
They love guys like us.
Yeah.
you know?
Same.
They
We
just show
pay the
up
bills.
and they still like claim their money, because it's automated. Like, this is the only way to go. Like, they have automatically, where they.
We're actually getting a Peloton, and the old joke.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna use it a lot. Be
Yeah.
hanging clothes,
Exactly.
a towel, our robes when we get
Yeah.
out.
Well, I had a membership too, back in Alhambra, back in the old days, and old stomping grounds, and we had like a Baja Fresh right adjacent to it. So I would just buy food, burritos, and I would eat in front of the people while they're jogging.
Well, I didn't
they're
want
like,
I didn't
"You're
want to
such
get into
dicks."
these stories, but since we're talking about it, I had a wonderful young lady that used to work for me, and she used to come to my house. And it's not like you would think, because everybody always goes there. It's like, no, she was really, really nice, and she did QuickBooks and
Cool.
all my stuff for my painting company in Orange County, California. It's called Quality Painting Plus. You can look that up by going to qualitypaintingplus.com. Am I doing another commercial?
Yes,
okay.
you are.
So anyway, the story is back when we had like DVDs and stuff. We were still using a lot of DVDs. I ordered this Billy Blanks or something where the boxing
sure,
and the
Billy
aerobics
Blanks,
and all that stuff. And I just wanted to watch it. I wasn't ready to do it. So I sit in my chair, and she was out at the bank or doing something, and the office was down the hall in my condo. So I'm sitting in my living room, and I had Oreo cookies. Hey, I was snacking, right? But I wanted to pop this in and just see what it was going to be like. So when I do it, so I'm sitting there with the Oreo cookies, and I guess it was a long day, and it was hot outside. So I fell asleep with the Oreo cookies in my hand with the workout video going, and she comes back from the bank getting ready to put the files on the desk and lock up and leave if I wasn't there. And she just couldn't believe it. She's just like, you're sleeping with Oreos in your hand with a workout video on.
It's fantastic.
The epitome of health.
Didn't surprise her one bit.
I could do that.
Yeah.
That's but nowadays they have VRs, so people put on the VR goggles. And
I don't know about all that. It's like when we were talking about NFTs and Web3.
Well, I do. My grandfather, believe it or not, rest his heart. Rest his
his heart or rest his
Rest
soul?
his soul. Yeah, he put on some VR goggles, and let me tell you what he did. He put on some VR goggles, and his girl put on some VR goggles. My grandmother, and they were
Jimmy, please.
listen
We're
to
about
this.
to get canceled.
They were They went at it, right? And
wholesome.
he was just going, he loved the whole idea because he was playing some guy probably in the VR and stuff. And I watched them as they were, and then she took off her VR and she took off his gear. He goes like, what the fuck you doing? Put him back on. You look hotter. And I was like,
I'll tell you.
Hey, this is some Black Mirror stuff right here. This is why we don't touch
You ever
VR.
see that commercial though, where they're all sitting at the table playing strip poker, and they're all just beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And they're taking their clothes off, and then an intern or whatever you call it—not an intern, but someone that works at the hospital, that like the nurse or something, comes in and goes, "What are you guys doing?" And it's a commercial for something that makes you feel great, and they all turn into old people in their underwear.
Oh,
it's
that's cute.
hilarious.
That's
I love
cute.
that commercial. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's great. So before we start getting into all of our long ass stories, because I told a
underwears.
couple while we were at Pinchi's Tacos,
yeah.
we told some funny ass stories
Great
that we'll have to
stories.
save for another episode. Sean, I want to hear more about you. You got a lot to tell. So
I wish I had more to tell, I think after COVID we're all like terrified,
yeah,
but I was fortunate to have a great year before, literally right before, like 2019 was an awesome year. And I was like, that year I was guest starring on American Horror Story in 1994.
right, yeah.
That was really fun. That was like
So cool.
dream coach, because I'm a huge fan of that show. So
Jessica Liang wasn't on it anymore at that point.
not that one. No, I think she might. There's talk about her coming back, but I
Oh.
don't know. But yeah, that was a very different season. It was kind of homage to like Friday the 13th slasher, 80s.
Okay, I got to catch up on those because I watched the first 3 or 4 seasons maybe.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually auditioned for it once. It was a small thing. No, I didn't book it, but
Oh, I would have known. I would have seen you. I'm a huge fan. So,
The hell, dude? What's your major malfunction?
I've met you before.
so what was it like being on that set?
it was a dream come true. It was literally like a fanboy getting to do, his dream. So like it was a younger cast for the most part, which was really cool and a little different. So I got to meet, I got to feel old for the first time.
wow.
They were all younger than me. These people
What are
who
they,
are idolizing.
like 10? Because you can't be more than 20.
Oh, there was a moment where I was sitting
15.
with, that's, I'm 30. Gosh, I'm about to be 32. So, but this was a few years ago. So I
would have never guessed that.
I'm a youngin. I keep the baby face,
Yeah, you look
Hey,
great.
look, I
I
thought
would
you-
have never guessed 32.
Not a day
Really?
over 15 for us.
Oh, well,
look
thank
young.
you. That's a good thing. And now I have to start appreciating that. But
Yeah, that would be a great. I mean, what a great experience that must have been.
Well,
Yeah.
James and I love to be 25, so.
yeah, that's,
I-
that's why we make movies.
I've gone out for a lot of Ryan Murphy projects.
Oh yeah,
And I just love everything he does. American Crime Story.
me too. Yeah,
It's all.
he gave me my start, honestly, because
And he's also involved with 911.
Yes.
911 Lone Star.
that was my first guest star.
Oh,
was
wow.
911. So like Ryan Murphy gave me.
I'm
My
geeking
career.
out right now. This is great.
So what did
Sitting
you
right
play
next to
on
us. Fuck.
911?
So
'Cause
first
I watched
season-
quite a bit of it.
Did you see the roller coaster episode?
Yes.
I was the kid. I was the chubby boy on the roller coaster that broke it.
Oh, my God.
I
Oh,
think
fuck.
no
Too
wonder
real.
you look so
Oh,
familiar.
shit,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm almost here. What happened to Chad? He's dead, isn't he?
Hey, Devin, look at me. Chad, he's getting help. You see? He's gonna be fine. I'm not gonna let anything happen to you, all right?
That was yesterday.
Yeah, for
was-
me. Yeah.
I was looking up, Bai Ling was on, and her episode will come out before this airs, so people can go back and watch Bai Ling's episode. She was on
fantastic.
Entourage, and I cannot believe that was back in 2005.
Really?
I worked on it. I did a little featured thing. I didn't have any dialogue or anything, so it was kind of like a featured. But Tom Brady was there, and
wow.
Mark
Wow.
Wahlberg, which he wasn't on very many episodes, but
Who knew?
and
So
we're-
lucky.
I didn't know
Yeah,
Tom
that was-
Brady was on there.
Yeah, and I'm standing right next to him, and he's talking to Mark, and then we were all putting balls on this putting green, and real quick, I remember I wasn't sure if I should do it or not because Kevin Dillon and Mark Wahlberg and name drop were on the this little putting green, and I said I saw someone else grab a putter and get out there, and I said, oh heck, I'm gonna take a chance. They're gonna tell me, hey, don't do that. So I grabbed a putter and I go to putt a ball, which is not my strong point in golf. Actually, I don't have any strong points in golf.
You don't golf anymore, do you?
I haven't believe me, what I do you wouldn't call golfing anyway. So his ball was going towards the hole, it looked like to me, and my ball hit his ball. Now he's the executive producer of this.
Wow.
You know, he's the big boss.
The big
And I look
cheese.
at him with this fear in my face, and I said, "I'm sorry." And he said, "Sorry, I wasn't going to go in anyway." But that was just a cool, you know. And then I heard him telling Kevin, he said, "You know, you got to come over at my place and hit some balls or something." And Kevin says, "Oh, you have a putting? You still have the putting range or something like that, or a putting green?" And he goes, "Psh, "Shit, I got a driving range out there now."
Oh, he's graduated.
But yeah, Tom was talking about his houses in Boston and in Brentwood. He sold that one, but you know, it was just my dad was a huge Patriots fan. I'm a huge Patriots fan. I still love Tom over at Tampa Bay. I'm glad he's playing another year.
Yeah, one more
Anyway,
year.
back to
What
so we talked about American Horror Story.
Well, actually, real quick, and I want to interject. Jamie Brewer, I know Jamie Brewer's family. She's the young lady with Down syndrome.
yes, she's
Fantastic, phenomenal actress. Jamie
Incredible.
Brewer.
Yes, love her.
So, yeah, shout out to Jamie Brewer. She's
I know she wasn't there
fantastic.
either that
it's
season, man.
phenomenal. Yeah, I love her
Good
work.
actress.
So cool. Yeah, I mean, that first season is incredible, and like everyone who worked on that is, is the reason why I got into it. So that's so cool. Shout out.
I don't know what I'm more in awe of, Jessica Lange's career and her work, or that she was with the poet Sam Shepard.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, actually, I loved his acting in Black Hawk Down. So a friend of our Tom Sizemore.
Tom
It's a
Sizemore.
legend. Yeah.
Yeah, but Sam Shepard. I mean, and he also was in that movie Osage County.
August Osage County.
Right.
So
no, I loved everything. I mean, I love his plays too.
Yeah. I know him more as a playwright than I do even as an actor. But genius, brilliant. I mean, we were gonna do. I think he wrote True West, I believe.
Yeah, I
We were
love
gonna-
True West.
Yeah, oh, such a good show. We were gonna try to do that my senior year in college, but man, we were huge fans. So
I just bought some plays and stuff because for an acting class that I was involved with, I like to call it a group more than a class.
yeah,
It was an
we-
AA meeting we had. Tell the truth.
all like that. They're all acting classes are like that.
Yeah, I was kind of put in charge of pulling some scenes from a couple of different playwrights, Arthur Miller, Sam Shepard, and I remember doing something in junior college that was a monologue, and it was something about the Mad Dog Blues.
Okay.
And it was talking about Paul Bunyan
Yeah.
and all these mythical characters. And I remember I was practicing that, and I was out with a buddy of mine. We were drinking down in Newport Beach at Mutt Lynch's and places, and we're talking to people. And I go into the monologue like, it was just ridiculous. I had me a hat. It was given to me special. And my buddy's just like, not again, man. These chicks are going to run away. This is back when I was young and single. Now I'm old and taken.
Oh yeah.
So we talked about American Horror Story. We talked about 911, which I love because I'm going to go back and watch that.
That's right. Yeah.
We're gonna watch it. And you have a BFA. Tell us from what university?
Yeah, I'm from Elon University. Shout out to
Shout
Elon.
out to
Shout out.
In the heart of North Carolina.
I've been to North Carolina.
I love North Carolina. It was a good place to go to school because there's no distraction. Everyone's like, wants to go to school. I wanted to go to school in New York or LA, right? Which, but everyone's like,
Nightlife.
you'll get distracted. You won't even finish college. And I was like, I heard that. So I liked being out in the country,
Beautiful down
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
So what was that experience like? And when you left there, what was it? How did it go? Like getting into the industry and working, and what's it like now?
While I was in school, I realized that I didn't want to do just theater. I always wanted to do theater, but I wanted to do film, and that was always my dream as a kid. So I knew my senior year, just before my senior year, we came out here to intern and get to know. We have a program, so I got to come out with my school, and we got to intern and try it out. Yeah, it was very cool. So by my whole senior year, I knew at that point, like, I'm getting ready to move out to LA, and I had friends who I moved out with, so that was really helpful. But
I like your look. He has a very ambiguous look. He can play like all sorts of different characters.
yeah, what you could never get. People always think, like, we were talking about this. People people think that I'm Spanish. I'm actually half Chinese, and then I'm a mutt. My mom's like from Florida, and we're white and Native American, and
That's so cool.
all kinds of
Yeah, we're very
Well, it
particular.
looks good on you, Sean.
Thank you,
Just keep it up. Don't ever lose that.
thank you. I appreciate it.
It's kind of hard to lose your DNA and your genes and your.
Yeah.
I'm half Irish and half French, right down the middle, pretty much. But I realize that the Irish has other things in it. Like my family comes from Wales originally, hence the name Welsh.
Yeah,
Which actually was Welsh when they came from Wales, but there was a stigma attached to it. oh, these are, people that immigrated from Wales down into wherever. And then, so someone changed it to Walsh.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then the funny thing is that when my great-grandfather came from Ireland and landed up in Prince Edward's Island in Canada, and then it found his way down to Boston, and my grandfather, I don't know if it was his only son or whatever, my grandfather, who died when he was 34 years old after he had 6 kids.
Holy shit.
For some strange reason, his name was Henry Walsh. And when the kids started coming, as soon as my grandmother started popping out these kids, he started putting on the birth certificate Welsh.
Oh, wow.
And assumed the name Welsh himself. So that's how our name got changed back to Welsh. So it's a little tricky following the family tree to try to get the lineage, but my cousin Michael has done a great job of it, and he's showed me some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, you're also related to, who are you related to? Some big public figure in the
Oh,
olden days.
on my mother's side of the family, this isn't about me.
Yeah, well,
Why does it always end up?
James, you
why
always
do I
make it
always
about
hijack
you.
I always hijack this
Talk
thing.
show.
Yeah. I thought it was you and I. We're interviewing James.
We are. I think that's
Since you asked, and for those of you who are interested, on my mother's side, now this is the thing too. My grandmother and grandfather on my mother's side came from Canada, and they immigrated here. And I don't even know if that's the way you say it. They just came here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to use fancy words. And they loved it. They were happy to be here. They were just so excited. And my grandmother's first cousin, his name was Andre Bissett, because my grandmother's name was Arena Bissett, and she only spoke French. She didn't speak English. Very, very, very little. So to make a long story short, which I rarely do.
I don't think you could do that. Maybe that's possible.
They used to call him Brother Andre because he was very involved with the Catholic Church and very religious and da-da-da-da-da. Well, they ended up by making him, he became a saint.
Oh, wow.
For all the Catholics out there, you can look him up, Andre Bissett. And I wouldn't say I'm not a practicing Catholic, but I'll claim it. I was baptized Catholic, and there's such a strong, whatever you want to call it, in the lineage of our family. We're proud that he was very selfless. He gave up all material possessions, and he just lived like a monk.
Yeah.
But he had a vision, supposedly, and in his vision, he was told to tell the powers to be to build St. Joseph's Oratory in Canada, Quebec. So there are statues, and he had 1 million people go through his funeral, like Mother Teresa status, and he was canonized, I think it's called, from John Pope the second or one of them. Wow. And then Benedict.
Moral of the story: don't drink the liquid death.
Anyway, Pope Benedict
baptized.
finalized it, and it's a big deal. It's on
James
YouTube, Wikipedia. You
James
can find
spikes the holy water at the church.
Yeah, I believe me, I probably was kicked out a long time ago, but
That's a good story.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
actually true.
That's
though.
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's very,
truly.
very much a true story, and you can see pictures of him. And if you could see what my grandmother looked like, and even my mother, there's some resemblance there because it's her first cousin. But I have a friend that really understands DNA and how genetics and all that stuff. And he said it's pretty trickled down by the time it gets to me. So I don't have a lot of the blood of a saint or whatever you want.
Far from it,
No,
brother.
yeah, boy, I'll tell you.
He showed me some scrolls. James.
Yeah, you know that
Scrolls.
meme where they say, your guardian angel is just looking down like that, with a drink and a cigarette.
He has
That's
two
all.
devils.
making-
instead of-
Yeah.
Go
It's
for
your
it.
relatives, though.
Can we
Continue
talk
with
Can we talk about me a little bit more because we only have the note. Sean, take
He
it
was
away.
in you're a star of the To Survive in the Quarter Life Coach, right?
That's right. Those were my first 2 projects ever.
Wow.
It was really fun. Yeah, huge learning curve. To Survive, I came in. It was like my first day. My dad dropped me off in LA, and then I took him to the airport, and then I went to that audition.
Right.
Wow.
It ended up being like it was.
What a memorable day.
Yeah, for sure. And that's like the whole To Survive we filmed out. It was like a very independent, low budge. We filmed out in the desert for 6 weeks, and we camped. My butt camped, and I hiked.
Was it scorching hot in the middle of summer? Or
We shot in November because at the time the government shut down Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Sure, yeah.
And so we couldn't get into the natural, or like we had the parks like they had to be shut down too. So we had to push back to November. Actually, we were filming like at the end of like Halloween into November. So that was crazy. It was my first experience on a movie. We were out there, like, it was very, on your knees, like hands but we were all helping out, and it was very humbling experience for sure. Yeah, it was. I got to do a little Blair Witch moment, which I enjoyed.
So
so
cool.
it was really
I
fun.
always think about that movie because when people are trying to make it out here and everything, and now the saying is, which I don't think people realize how true it is, make your own content.
Right.
And that Blair Witch thing was just the most bizarre thing, and it really took off. I don't know that the second one, one of you guys might know how well it did.
I had no idea.
They had
I wanted my money back.
I know. I agree. I know. I love the original Blair Witch.
They
I'm
made
a
enough
huge
money
fan.
off of that, probably.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they made sequels, and I think they did a remake recently. All kinds of video. I loved it. I think, I'm a huge horror fan. And actually, speaking into what you just said, one of the biggest lessons I've learned since living here is that if you don't create it for yourself with like what you guys are doing,
sure,
you're not there's not a guarantee of opportunity.
There is,
so you
it's
got to
slim.
make your own. So
well,
create our own
we're
stuff,
actually in the process of creating a documentary film, and I want you to be a huge part of that because I need your talents of editing and your creative input, and I want it to be different. I want it to be something that could be submitted to a festival.
Totally.
I want it to be a SAG, production. I mean,
whole project.
Project.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Definitely.
I just haven't had enough coffee this morning.
You haven't. We're gonna. So should we start the initiation? I'm gonna haze him.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
the hazing, he doesn't know about that because we don't show that in
That's
the
why I haven't been
episodes.
indoctrinated yet.
That's going to be in the extra footage that you could subscribe to.
Some BTS
for $5.99 a month. You'll be able to see the behind-the-scenes hazing of the guests.
It's gonna be fantastic. Yeah.
I wore my costume jewelry today. I don't know. I'm not one for jewelry, but
So originally, who inspired you to get into acting and whatnot?
It's so funny because I watched you ask like Eris about this, and I watching your episode, I love learning from your guests. So,
thank you.
And Eris, he said something funny. He's like, I realized that I want to do everything, and I don't want to be doing one thing forever. That's 100% like how I've always felt. Like I feel like as an actor, we get to like try on all different types of lifestyles. We try on all types of hats. I mean, on production and in front of the camera, we get to, we can be, there's no limitation,
Sure.
And especially now because like you were saying, like there's a whole, formats are.
It's insane how compared to when we were kids. Now I don't know if we can put you in that group because you're a little on the younger side.
Gotcha.
But
Hey,
Jimmy,
speak for yourself, bro.
Jimmy's only 72. He just looks really good. But when we were growing up, I always imagined, because I wanted to play the guitar, and I always imagined if I could just watch and see what they're doing with their hands, and then I'd watch MTV when it came out, because this was even before MTV came out, and I'd watch MTV, but they never show it long enough to where, so my friends would, but now you have YouTube videos that are teaching guitar. You can do anything with your iPhone, your iPad, everything. I mean, there's just no excuses if you want to be a creative, which I think part of the problem is a lot of young people they're just so caught up in the technology of watching Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that. It's making them a little bit on the lazier side. Don't be lazy. Get out there and be creative and write and stuff.
Yeah.
But one other thing I just want to say real quick is that I always found it funny that like a guy like Henry Winkler or Ron Howard or I just named the Happy Days cast. But anyone that's been in the front of the camera for so long that they're beloved and they're a national, they're
national treasure to us.
Yeah, and they're a household name and stuff like that. Then all of a sudden you hear they want to direct and they're directing, and then you don't see them anymore. And I was thinking, like, why do they do that? But now I understand because I've been around the industry. And when you have that creative, the juices are flowing, you get these visions and these ideas, and you think, well, geez, I really would like to try that. I love acting, but I also love the idea of writing. I love the idea of
The whole
Podcasting,
aspect,
yeah.
podcasting.
Every aspect of the industry. You know,
Yeah.
it's great to explore. I mean, you know, we have.
What's coming up for you, Sean? Yeah, I know you're busy.
Yes.
I know you're working on some things.
Thankfully, I'm actually in the middle of making a short film right now, which we're
cool.
shooting this week. Yeah, so we're participating in the Collaboration Filmmakers Challenge, which we've done for the first time last year was my first time as a filmmaker, and actually that's why I picked up editing, because I've learned that like you said, the actors that have been around, we talk about Julia Louis-Dreyfus all the time, like creating Veep, you know, like she did all of that, you know. That's
amazing.
You never get to rest as an actor, like, and I think like a lot of people come out here as actors and they're like, that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to be an actor. And yeah, it's a dream come true if you can just be an actor, you know, and just make it as an actor, but like
The reality of it
exactly. And I think you don't learn the reality until you try to make your own project and you realize how, you know, actors are so essential and beautiful and like a huge part of the project, but it's not just that, you know what I mean? And there's so much that goes into every film, every project is a collaboration effort. And that's why I always say it's a miracle that it gets made.
It
you know,
is.
so like
different personalities.
Exactly.
It's always a collective. It takes a team, you know, because
Definitely.
everyone has something
Just
to
to
bring to the
get
table and
cast
stuff. Yeah.
with a couple of lines in a role, I never realized this until someone brought it to my attention that you get like the casting director thinks it's good enough to send to the next step.
Yes.
Which out of maybe 100 or 50 or whatever it is, a lot.
Exactly.
Then it gets sent over, and then that person, whatever it's a director or producer or whatever. I mean, the director looks at the producer. I think a lot of people do end up by looking at it. But what I didn't realize is that someone from the studio will look at all these different parts and give the okay on it.
Exactly.
And actually, I think they look into you too to make sure you're not some kind
Absolutely,
of
I'm
you
sure.
know, they vet you. They do a little background on you.
I know that's how Ryan Murphy did it, for example. Like I have a friend who was actually
I love Ryan Murphy, by the way.
Yeah, we love Ryan Murphy.
Thank you for all the opportunities. And I know they're looking for just the right thing that I'm just gonna fit right.
It'll
in for it,
If they calling you back in, I think that's a sign. You know, they're trying to get you something.
I don't know how much I should be talking about these auditions that I've done and what I got and what I didn't get. I put it out there that I did audition for. It wasn't a Ryan Murphy project, but I did audition for Frank and Penelope. Are you familiar with that?
I
and
think so. Yeah.
Billy Bushnick is going to come on. He said yes more than once, and we're just working on scheduling because he was just in a play.
Oh wow.
And but I auditioned for Frank and Penelope, and they sent me the whole script, and it was for the part of the sheriff. And you know, Sean Patrick Flannery I believe it's his directing debut, but I'm not sure about that.
Wow.
I when I tell stories, I always have to put a disclosure, like I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about that. I don't know whose name that, but I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, Kevin Dillon got the part.
Oh, okay.
You know, we all know who Kevin Dillon is in the room. Do you know who Kevin Dillon is? Please look him up if you don't. But yeah, I can't feel bad about that. I mean, that guy is so phenomenal, and and I saw the clips of the trailer and everything, and I was like, yeah, no, that's the guy.
Totally.
That's the guy. Just like when they say in casting, they'll know. They look at you and they say, that's the guy. They might have reasons why you're not the guy, or it might be between you and someone that has a lot more credits or whatever. But whatever reason, I put it in the gods, casting gods, and put it out there.
Exactly.
And
because we never know, like we can't control that, you know what I mean? No. Like all we can do is, and I love what Amy Linden, she was like, you know, I make people better readers. Honestly, that's a lot of times, like that's the whole thing is are we adding something that isn't there, you know what I mean? Or are we really just serving this story? You know, I think that's why being a filmmaker really helps you understand that too.
That helped me as I learned that along the way, but she reiterated it and really she drove that point home. It's like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's all. You got these two lines. It's this and it's that, and that's it.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it, you know, because that's what we go in and we're thinking like, okay, so I'm this guy and I'm going to come and I'm going to serve these papers and, you know, and where did I come from? Where am I going? Well, you could do a little bit of that, but don't overdo it. You're there to do your job and it's for exposition.
Totally.
But there's so much to it. And I remember I was on a Vail for a Chevy, an international Chevy Volt commercial.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That was super exciting because it was going to be 7 contracts. It was going to be for what they call industrial when they use it in the dealership. It was going to be for print, you know, it was going to be for radio, it was going to be for television, it was going to be for, you know, if they show it in a movie trailer, you know, before the movie starts. So they had me matched up with a woman that was going to be my wife and a kid. And when I went for the callback, it was just between me and two other guys. They were basically wanting to see what look they wanted to use. I was the 50s Don Draper. They even said, we're looking for a Don Draper type guy. So I slicked the hair back. I went in there. And the guy goes, you're the first guy that gave me a dad all day today. Like, thank you, and I was like, oh, great, now I know I'm not going to get it. But they did call me back. Because, you just think, like, there's different reasons you start feeling like, oh, if they act like they love you, you're not going to hear from them.
Right.
That's not always the case. Anyway, all that's out the window. I walked in, I saw the woman and the kid, and I looked at the kid, and the kid happened to be, the little boy was with her mom, not the actress that was going to play the mom. And she looked at me and she goes, he's playing your son, I bet. And I go, it looks just like me when I was a kid.
Oh.
And but they went with a different look. They went with the guy with the V-neck sweater with the Clark Kent glasses. And it was a 30-second thing. I watched it. I loved it. And it was a through the ages. They had a Jimi Hendrix impersonator. They had the guy in the garage building the computer, the Bill Gates guy. They had the Edison, the light bulb. I mean, I think they even had somebody flying a kite for Ben Franklin. And at the end of the show, or the end of the commercial, that's how fast all this went through, because, commercials aren't that long. I mean, the guy that I was going to play was on for like 10 seconds.
A brief
or
moment.
not even, like about 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
But it felt, I was flattered to get that far.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can't even remember. I'm trying to remember a time before I started that story. It's like, can you edit like half of that? No, I'm kidding.
I got you covered. Don't worry.
Okay.
But
I put in a word.
Yeah, right.
So, how about them Dodgers?
Yeah, there we go. Now it's my turn in the barrel.
Fucking with you, bro. It's great. It is so true what he's saying. I mean, like, at the end of the day, it's they're looking for specific casting. And if you fit that casting, and then you'll get the freaking role. It's
Exactly.
simplicity at its finest.
Hey, listen, don't make me tell my Tina Fey.
Tell that story. You have
tell
to tell
that,
that story, by the
Nancy
way.
Davis
I'm doing my
story.
paper for college, so.
Okay. I'll make it really quick. So I was at this event, and there were celebrities there and everything.
It's funny,
and I was
dude.
with someone. I won't name who it was, but she looks at me and she goes, "Look over there." And there's a woman sitting on a couch, and she goes, "That's Tina Fey." And I go, "Oh, wow." Well, I'm gonna walk over there, and I sit down next to her.
That's funny.
And I go, "Excuse me, would you mind terribly if I got a picture with you?" And she looks at me and she goes, "Why do you want a picture with me?" And I was saying, well, I love I thought she was like goofing with me,
Hysterical,
I
bro.
said, I just love everything you do, man. I mean, she goes, huh? So I get the picture, and I get up and walk back over to the person I was with, and she says, "Yeah, it's not Tina Fey, is it?" And I said, "No." I said, my first clue is like right after all that happened, I realized she had nobody around her.
That was too easy.
So it was just some lady sitting there that looked exactly like Tina Fey. So now I'm at a different event, and there's a woman that was hosting it, and her name was Nancy Davis. Well, I was telling my friend, I was telling the person that I was there with, I just don't want to name names. I don't want to name events or
don't
anything.
do it.
But I said, I go, that's Ronald Reagan's daughter.
Oh, my God.
And she goes, "No way." And so we go up to her, we start talking to her, and somebody says, "He just loves your father." And she goes, you know my father? Or I don't know if he maybe you knew my father.
Yeah.
And I go, I think he's just amazing. And she's just dumbfounded. She goes, "Well, I'll be sure and tell him." And it was at that moment I realized this is not
He's been dead for like
Ronald
20
and
years.
Nancy.
I think you've got
Reagan.
guts for doing it, going up there anyway. Like, this is exactly why I could be sitting next to a celebrity and know it's the celebrity and not say anything. So,
Oh, I walked right up to Michael
Hey.
Douglas because I had to tell him a story about my mom and his dad. And actually, he appreciated it. He thought it was great. I'll just really, really quick, since things are in threes anyway, this will be
cool.
the third
Yeah.
story to wrap it up for me. But I was my mom was like, "Oh, I think I'm reaching the end. I'm getting, she was just having a day where she was a little doom and gloom." I go, "Mom, you're doing great. You're 87 years old now." I said, "Look at this." And I pull up Kirk Douglas, which he was still alive. He was over 100 years old.
Just
And I
passed away.
showed my mom, I go, "Look, this is Kirk Douglas. He's over 100 years old." Not that she would remember exactly who he was, but she looked at the picture and she says, he's still handsome.
No.
I mean, she got like,
so
she was
cute.
like, that just changed her whole. She was like, he's still
That's
handsome.
hope right there. That's so
So
sweet.
we're in a
Mom's
room.
adorable,
We're in a
sweetheart.
room with a lot of celebrities. What a room it was! It was a great room. And I see Michael Douglas, and I say, should I or shouldn't I? Should I walk up to him and tell him that story because it's just such a great story, right? So I go, hello, Mr. Douglas, and then I realize I'm standing in front of Michael Douglas. I'm about to tell him a story that he might not be interested in. Wondering why am I walking up? Who am I to come up and talk to him? You know? No, but he's super cool. He's a really, really great guy. So I told him the whole story. I go, yeah, my mom, she's been, she has, a little touch of Alzheimer's. And then I said, so I just took I pulled up a picture of your dad and I showed it to her, and she said, he's still handsome. And he goes, that's great. He loved it. And this is before his dad passed.
Oh, man.
And then Michael Douglas said, thanks for that. And I said, thanks for listening to my long story. Or said, thanks for listening to my stories. And he laughed and I laughed. And then we sat in the same room, like on different couches, just kind of, I was just thinking like, oh, well, that seemed to go over okay. I won't
Absolutely.
bother him anymore.
Hey,
and
see,
everything.
that's why you do it. That's why it's good to have guts, because that's a
Yeah, I
good.
could have gone on. I love you in the Kraminski method, but I didn't want to fan out or anything. I just wanted to share that personal story about his dad and how much it meant to my mom, how she really, he was such an icon and such a chiseled, handsome. He played Spartacus,
Yeah.
And I just thought as someone talking about someone's dad to their son.
Totally.
That's what the whole thing was to me. Not going up to a big A-list star and,
Absolutely.
But it's hard to forget that,
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's sweet, though. I think, that's, hey, at the end of the day, the worst thing that happened is you gave that lady a good story to tell her friends that night. You know what I mean? I think that's a great.
I don't think she ever realized that we thought she was.
You never said Tina
Ronald-
Fey or Nancy Davis. Or
No.
That's
And
a
that's-
legendary
I wonder-
story, bro. That's funny.
Well,
I wonder who we thought I was.
Yeah, I wonder if she ever figured it out.
I,
Because it was just so bizarre after the fact.
Him and I have so many similarities. I mean, it's crazy. A lot of parallels. I mean,
Yeah.
ADHD being one of them.
Yeah,
we can riff for hours, bro. I mean, we get on the phone and it's nuts. You know,
I
finish
love
each other's
that. I'm
sentences. Well, I had a story we drove. We're talking about it earlier about the Hitchcock family. Oh, that's right. And Patty Hitchcock's daughter, one of her daughters.
And I think that's about all the time we have. I'm just
He's
kidding.
crazy. This guy's crazy. Alfred Hitchcock's granddaughter. She's in the car, and they're the Stones. She married into the Stone family, and I asked her, oh yeah, any relation to Sharon Stone? And she laughed. She goes, I get that all the time. And very unassuming lady. The whole night was fine and everything. I drop them off and they get back to dispatch and they go, hey man, what's it like driving them? I'm like, whatever, dude. If this funny thing happened, you didn't, because who you just finished driving? It was like Alfred Hitchcock's grandkids.
Wow.
And I'm like, no fucking shit, dude.
That's
Yeah.
legendary. That's
fucking funny, dude.
royalty. That's
Yeah.
Hollywood
Yeah.
royalty.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you say the Stone family, it was a different Stone family.
Yeah, no, she's married. She's married to producer or something. Last name
But
Stone.
not,
Yeah,
nothing,
yeah,
okay.
exactly.
I got a little quick story about Sharon Stone.
Okay, go ahead.
We were coming out of an event, and everybody was on the sidewalk, and Sharon Stone was standing there. And it was so funny because from the time she got up out of her seat probably to where she walked out waiting for her car, she was like this. And I really doubt that for those of you who are listening on Spotify, she had her phone up to her ear. And I seriously doubt she was on the phone with anyone.
Right.
She just did not want anybody to come up and talk to her or ask her for a picture. Now, Demi Moore was walking by with this really nice-looking young man. I don't know if it was a relative of hers or what. But somebody, Lonnie, I'll go ahead and say, I'll tell this story. Lonnie said, excuse me, Miss Moore, I love your work, and my boyfriend would really like to get a picture with you. And she goes, I'm sorry, I'll get in trouble. And she kept walking. But you could see the look on the guy's face. And then all of a sudden, she circles back and she comes over. She puts her hand on Lonnie's shoulder and she said, he told me that I should get a picture with you because you're the shit.
Oh.
True story. And what a cool moment that was,
Absolutely.
because another legend in the business. I mean, they're people.
Exactly.
I mean, when you, it sounds like, oh, you're fanning out or whatever. It's not really about that as much as you admire their accomplishments, their work, because you know the dedication
Right.
and the hard work that goes into making some of these movies.
It's a lot
Definitely.
of work.
Oh my goodness, like yeah.
Looks fun, but it's
That's I mean, it's an important
hours of
thing.
work,
They're human. They understand the same things we're going through. I think it can be uncomfortable sometimes without when I was doing my hair test for American Horror Story, Emma Roberts came on to do her hair for a scene.
how cool is
wow.
that? Wow.
And she walked in, it was silent. There was like maybe a few hairdressers in there doing her, but she was on the phone sitting right next to me, right here. And I was waiting for my makeup artist to get back to do, because she was working on a hairpiece.
Taken, okay.
Sorry, Jim.
Yeah.
Sorry, Stephanie.
Can I touch your hair, please?
But yeah, I was not going to speak, and she hung up, and it was really awkward. So maybe if I had just been like, "Hey, how are you? Nice to meet you," it would have been less uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
I'm going to take a note out of your book.
You know, it's weird though how some people do have a certain aura, and it might be just something that it ruminates in us, or however you would say it.
Radiates.
$20 words
Radiates.
again.
You can say you
It's
radiate.
the same thing. Yeah, I get it.
You know,
gets
it's something that we have in our chemistry that we remember, or we have this nostalgia of the kind of work that these great actors. I was coming out of a SAG event, and Helen Mirren was standing there getting ready to get in her car, and I swear from across the parking lot, I felt like I was witnessing just greatness. This woman, the body of work, everything that she's done is and I
insane.
remember Christopher Plummer was at a Q&A, and he was talking about working with her in The Last Station. And one thing I'll never forget that Christopher Plummer said, somebody asked about the costuming and stuff like that, and he said, you never want to play the costume. Like, it's okay, the costume might make you feel more like the
Sort of,
character,
yeah.
but don't play the costume.
Gotcha.
That's interesting.
Great note from a great actor. God
Very
rest his
interesting,
soul.
yeah.
He was really old at that time, and he had like 5 projects. He says, I'm working on five projects. Didn't they throw him in? Who did they throw in when Kevin Spacey had to drop out of?
Oh yeah, the card game, that House Cards.
House of Cards.
No. It was the one about the family with the kidnapping.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
now.
I don't know that. I'm trying to. Yeah, it's.
It was one of the last big movies, and I think because of all the what happened,
Yeah.
that he was out, and they just threw this guy in.
You know,
at
the House
last
of Cards,
minute.
they pulled him out.
That's
He didn't-
No,
Swapped.
yeah, but I'm talking about a movie. This is another one of my stories where I don't have my facts straight. It's a huge movie about the. Was it the Hearst, or the kidnapping? The Hearst kidnapping, maybe.
It says House of Cards.
No, there's a feature, a movie.
I know,
But you know
yeah.
what? He's probably not in the
Gore?
credits for that movie. What is it?
Gore.
No. I'll get back to you on that. It'll be for another episode.
Billionaires Boys Club. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Might be something like that. It was something to that effect. Let's move on, please. I'm getting really uncomfortable. I'm really feeling awkward here.
Well, I'll tell you, that's how I want to go out. Like when I'm dead, I want to be working on 5 or 10 projects. You know what I mean? Just I don't want to stop. So that sounds like a legendary way to go.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well,
It's been a hell of a show.
it has
man.
been. Sean, I appreciate
yeah.
you coming.
It's fun hanging out with you guys in person.
Oh, well, you're going to come back.
Yeah.
you
Do
know.
part 2. Well, you're always around anyway.
Yeah,
People just
so-
don't know it. It's behind
right.
the scenes. Do a hell of a job, really.
I
Ed.
do
Thank you.
appreciate all that. Everything you've been doing with the promos and the editing.
Oh,
and stuff
it's my
like that.
pleasure.
And what they do here at Melrose
Yeah.
Podcasting.
I
is
appreciate
great,
Dave
too.
and Moses. Guys rock.
All
Have
right.
you subscribed to our show? By the way?
Absolutely. First
Better.
thing
No,
I did.
my sister subscribed, which I was shocked because my sister, I'm sorry, Denise, but I just didn't think she would get around to doing it, and she did. And then my oldest son, I sent him a clip of something that I thought he would be interested in, and all of a sudden I saw that he subscribed. Well, Jimmy
Yeah.
keeps tracks of.
And did
keeps
Lonnie
track-
subscribe? She hasn't subscribed.
She hasn't
yet.
subscribed yet, but she's going to.
Okay,
We're
cool.
she's saving it for like the
moment.
1,000
Yeah.
subscriber or something. But yeah, so
Hey, and thanks so much for subscribing, all of you subscribers
thank you,
out there.
Liquid Death.
313 subscribers today. It's a month and a half.
And
so
I will-
it's organic.
Yeah, we're doing great, and thanks
really
to you, appreciate
appreciate
it.
it.
But I
Thank
want
you.
to say that we love Barnhouse Napa Brewers coffee,
good
but we
stuff.
don't. We're not being sponsored. They're just our friends, and we're helping them out. So if there are any sponsors out there that are interested, boy, do I sound thirsty! I'm going to drink some Liquid Death. 'cause
It's also
I'm
hot in
sounding
here.
really thirsty.
You're
for
melting.
sponsors.
Moist
He's
stand.
melting
I know.
right behind,
He's
right before our
listening.
eyes.
Okay, well, I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Thank you.
Yay.